Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Made a point of not slurring like last time.
Welcome to the number one rated podcast amongst our family and friends.
You want to know? And the sad thing, it's not. Probably. Probably is not. What is going? I think I like the stuff dreams are made of. Anyway, thanks for listening. We appreciate all of you, and we're only kidding about ourselves because we could do that.
Yes.
This week, Black Widow, there will be spoilers.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched it yet, Daryl, stop listening right here.
Well, not right here. We'll tell you when.
All right. We are going to resurrect.
Tell you when. Clearly, there will be a spoiler warning.
Yeah, we're going to resurrect
we're actually going to have a couple of spoiler warnings.
We have been remiss in the past, but
yes.
we'll
we are resurrecting the spoiler alert bumper that apparently I created years ago and forgot about. So we're going to use that.
There you go. So we'll let you know, but you don't have to do anything now. But
listen to the random topics and the fanboy commercial, and then we'll tell you when to stop listening.
Exactly, whatever Barry said, because we couldn't hear him.
He's sideloning and we can't hear him.
Yeah, but you heard him. You at home heard him.
Yes.
We just didn't. Unless he said Todd and Dave are douchebags, but we're going to do this anyway. I don't know. He could have said that.
I've never said that on the show.
And he wouldn't be the first one. Okay, let's go random. Barry, what do you got?
This is for Todd, and if you had this, Todd, I apologize. Paramount Plus is funding a full restoration of the director's cut of Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Oh, yeah.
It is being overseen by people who apparently worked with Robert Wise in the past, the FX supervisor, director, and producer. It's going to be done in 4K, HD, HDR, Dolby Vision with Dolby Atmos. And it said it's going to take 6 to 8 months to get the process done. And it will have an exclusive window release on Paramount Plus before it goes to Blu-ray and wherever else. So it will be the most beautiful, boring movie you have ever seen.
Exactly.
I disagree. There's more boring, beautiful movies.
Yeah.
I can think of several. I read this in an article, and at the end of the article said, "We're not really sure who wants to see this." But this is what they're doing. And I read the whole article thinking exactly that, thinking, why the hell are they doing this? And then they get down to the bottom and they said, well, we're not really sure, but this is what they're doing.
I follow an Instagram account called The Hard Times where they basically just make fun of things all the time. And I had to go back, because I read this on Instagram, and I had to go back and go, is this one of those Hard Times articles where they're just joking and it's not real? And then
was it The Onion?
Oh,
no, I've read it.
It's real.
I read it in a couple different places, but like I said, the first place I saw it, they were, they said exactly what you just said. They said, we don't know why.
Especially for Paramount Plus, there's no money to be made on it. I mean,
somebody feels that there's an anniversary to celebrate here or something. Why this movie?
What was it? 79. There's
no anniversary. Yeah. I don't get it.
Time for the 23rd anniversary or something.
You know what I think it is? I think the cleanest copy that exists is still a DVD copy. I don't know if they ever remastered it on Blu-ray. Or they did it on Blu-ray, but I think it's the DVD transfer.
I have a lot of copies of that movie. It comes in bundle. I have it itself. Then it came in bundles with other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
and I've never watched it.
Well, what was even funnier was reading the comments on the post, because it was everything from "I love that movie, this is so well needed" to "What the hell are they doing? Why would anybody want to watch it?" And there were people defending that this is a classic Roddenberry Star Trek story. I mean, it was everything you could imagine was there, from the positive to the negative.
One that they filmed, more than a decade earlier.
So I wonder if they're going to then do all of them. I mean, why do that one? Unless it's in any worse shape than the Wrath of Khan?
I will say this was a much bigger budget film than any of the others. This was they made Wrath of Khan for less than half the money of this one, and and then it was basically like the Planet of the Apes thing, where they kept saying, "Okay, we're making some money, let's keep going." But I've
seen the director's cut of this, and I don't remember it being. And you know me, I'm the director's cut guy. I don't remember the director's cut of this being better.
No, the director's cut is just more shit added in the background. There's
Yeah.
spaceships floating around that are in empty windows. It's very much like they kind of
Yeah, I don't
Lucasized
remember it.
They did they added things that weren't there and tried to make it more interesting. The digital effects look a little bit better, but it's
So
not.
they've sort of done this already, but
Yeah,
they're going to
yeah.
do it again.
That's what I'm saying. So, but here's the question: are they doing that to the directors? Is it going to be the director's cut, or is it going to be as released?
No. It said the director's cut of it. That's what I read.
Why? Just this. So it's like,
Like, what? It's a waste of money.
Because
Anyway,
more is better.
yeah.
I'm not buying it again. I didn't want to buy it the first 2 times.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to buy it, but will you watch it on Paramount Plus?
I'll take a peek at it, but like Paramount, you're on a. What if your broadband connection is a little slow? You're not going to get the best quality on a streaming service. That's bullshit. I don't buy that at all.
No, 4K looks good on streaming services. 4K looks great on 4K Blu-rays.
Yeah, and I'll buy. It's funny. I just bought The Matrix on 4K. I mean, I have at least 2 copies of it, but I hear the 4K of that is supposedly really good, and for cheap, it's worth it. That's one to see in the big screen downstairs. I mean, but. And maybe I don't have enough room on my shelves, so maybe I'll throw away the 2 sequels. I don't know why I have those. They must have come in a set.
I didn't have the second sequel. I found like maybe 2 years ago the first sequel. I was going through some stuff and I was like, why do I have this? And I just tossed it in the trash. It was just like,
Yeah.
well, why does this even exist in my life? It's like I
When
want
that fourth one
to
comes
move
out, you're going to
towards
feel...
the point in my life when I can forget that ever happened, and owning it just forestalls that.
Maybe the fourth one's going to kick in the retroactive improvement factor.
Yeah.
Then it would have to be the worst movie on every planet
It would
ever.
Yeah, it's true.
for it to be like, oh, those other 2 really weren't
Here's
so
my
bad.
prediction. I will say it's actually going to be superb. It's going to be the Terminator Dark Fate of Matrix movies. It's just going to get the whole series back on track, provide an excellent finale capstone for the whole thing. You're going to feel good walking away from it. It's yeah.
I can't wait then. Hey, speaking of 4K, Dave, have you watched any of the Raiders 4K stuff?
No, I don't have them.
Oh, I thought you said you bought them.
No, I was thinking about it. I was asking if you guys.
I
bought
put
them.
I only have Raiders and I only have it on streaming in 4K, but I popped it on the other day and oh my god, does it look so much better? Because it was on HD. One of the networks was running it all weekend.
Yeah, I just watched
Yep.
the
And I
Last
saw it
Crusade
there, and
today.
I'm like, well, you know what? This looks good, but I want to see what the 4K transfer looked amazing.
Did we talk about this in the last show? Because I did watch an episode. Someone had all the comparisons. The Blu-rays are super bright. The Blu-rays are not great, and that makes me like, oh, do I toss? Do I get the 4Ks?
I have the VHS Indiana Jones movies. I have the DVDs, the 4K, the Blu-rays. Now I guess I need the 4Ks.
I have a
But
laser.
the
I have a
Blu-rays-
laser disc.
I had them at one point.
Oh yeah, the Blu-rays really don't look appropriate when they saw the comparison of everything. It's like the DVDs look good in terms of contrast. The Blu-rays are very bright, too bright, and then the 4K is back to normal with more definition. I'll probably get them. I'm waiting to see. Sometimes they'll go on. I should put them in that camel thing. You know that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they're down to $75 on Amazon. I gotta throw them in there. I mean, anyway, Todd, what do you got?
So I just read an interview, interview article about the Book of Boba Fett, which they're saying is, I don't know if we talked about this, supposedly going to be released near the end of 2021.
Yep.
But the
Yes.
interesting thing from this article, Ming-Na Wen was cited in this. She said that she was actually working on this film, on this series, before she knew she was working on the series. They were referring to it as Mandalorian 2.5.
Oh, really?
And they were doing and she said that everything She said, I had no idea I was actually shooting a spin-off. When the cast and crew found out they were dying, it was so crazy. It was so wonderful to discover I was shooting the Book of Boba Fett.
How do you do this? You're not getting paid.
This was over
for
2 weeks. No, she said she was told she signed a contract as a series regular. Okay. She said everything has fake names. The contracts are all under different names. The show's under different names. I was told it was become a series regular, so I automatically assumed it was from Mandalorian season 3. The scripts were numbered 301, 302, 303, 304. But it doesn't say Mandalorian on any of my contracts. Anyways, I find that crazy and really, really interesting. A lot of the same directors.
I wonder if they just shot a bunch while they were out in the desert.
It's Robert Rodriguez, Favreau, Bryce Dallas Howard, Dave Filoni. So it's
good. I like the consistency.
And it's set in the same timeline. If this is Mandalorian 2.5, that's totally fine as long as they keep
Maybe
the
that's
same.
Why they're not
the same ethos, the same
now.
Everything. I am much happier with that than spinning the wheel and trying to try something radically different. This is very, very encouraging. So, yeah.
Okie dokie. Barry, I think one of your wishes has come true. All New York Comic Con tickets are sold out.
Oh, good. That means I don't have to go.
You absolutely don't have to go. You could probably get them if you wanted to, but did you get the email? I got the emails on fan verification.
I got an email, the other day.
I didn't look at them.
Yeah.
And then I was on the website, and all badges are sold out.
Good. 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 I happy for the people that are going. I have zero interest.
Evangeline Lilly and Katie Segal, or whatever her name is.
Katie Segal.
Are going to be there. I said that.
The mom from Married with Children is going to be there.
No.
Hey, she wasn't Lost, so.
She was in Lost.
She was John Locke's girlfriend in one of the flashbacks.
She was.
Oh.
And yep. I will never think of her as the person from Married with Children anymore after Sons of Anarchy.
I've never seen
an episode.
I've never seen watching her stab a woman in the head with
Wait.
That wasn't quick enough.
You have to leave a gap when you say spoiler. You have to leave
say who the woman was. Watching her with a carving fork. Watching her stab a woman in the head with a carving fork. Yeah, she's never going to be Peg Bundy again after that.
I've never seen Married with Children.
You've never seen Married with Children?
Is it any good?
In its time.
In its time, it was funny, and
I've also
Christina
never seen
Applegate
Roseanne. I'm proud to say.
Yeah, I don't know as I've ever really watched that, but
Married
with Children was the first real parody of a sitcom as a sitcom. So, in its time, it was good.
Andy, you had another random, Barry?
Quick one, and again, this one's probably geared more towards Todd than you, Dave, but I read this the other day. Lovecraft Country canceled. No season 2.
Yes, yeah. Not surprised, though. I mean, I think as opposed to canceled, I think they would have just been brought off saying that they weren't going to do another season, which I guess is the same thing, and maybe someone's interpretation.
They're trying to shop it around, though, I read.
Is that right?
In the
it was kind of like Watchmen to me. If they had just said, nope, it's one season and we don't intend to do any more, then
but
you don't
as
have
Dave
to
said, if they were if they were pitching for it, I'm not sure I needed another season of that.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I did too.
But I don't. Yeah, but I'm with you. It was self-contained.
If they came up with another story to tell in the Watchmen universe, I would be all over that. This, not so much. I think they had a journey and they did it, and it was So,
one quick one. Our pal Karen Gillan has got a movie on Netflix coming out, Gunpowder Milkshake.
Yes, yep.
She plays an assassin. A lot of genre people. Lena Headey, Michelle Yeoh. Isn't your first wife Carla Gugino in it, Barry? Weren't you married to her at one point?
I wish I could say that. No offense to my current wife or my only wife, but that was.
Isn't that the one you?
No, that was Gina.
No, it was Gina Gershon. I sat next to it at the Matrix
Gina Gershon
Reloaded
was your first
premiere.
wife. Yeah, that was your first wife. I thought it was this other one. I can't ever. Oh, I get those two confused. Although they don't look anything.
They
alike.
don't look
they
anything
don't.
alike, but I can
They
understand.
just have a lot of vowels in their names.
Yeah.
Some brunette Italian women. They're all the same.
Yeah.
And we're all two of us are married to them.
Yes. Hey, did you see that Hasbro announced a Dave Filoni pilot action figure, Black
Yes.
Series?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
it's going to
fun.
be like a convention exclusive of some kind. So
What convention? Hopefully not New York Comic Con. Now we need to go.
PulseCon. I think it's Hasbro's online.
Jesus, they're not having
Honestly,
that, are they?
I would be more interested in the pop than that. I really would.
Oh, I don't know. I think that I don't
For our
collect Black
Director
Series figures
Series.
anymore, but I that one to me is a cool kind of.
Is there any pop with a cowboy hat? That's all we really need. We can make our own.
I'm sure there is one.
There's
Yeah.
several.
We'll do that. You know, if they did make that, you know where you can get it? Fanboy Collectibles. I'm not saying it's up for pre-order, but just maybe. Dave Filoni pop. What is up for Iron Studios? Lots of Black Widow stuff. Red Guardian, Elena, Black Widow. They've got statues.
Those
There's
all
a
look
Kodo-
amazing too.
Yeah, Kodo, Black Widow in white statue, and pops and hot toys and sideshows and
And your Big Lebowski
Those-
figures up for
Those
pre-order.
the Iron Studios figures look very much like they fit together too. I haven't seen that done yet,
no, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
but they've got that kind of look to them. And
yeah, that could be true. So check that out. Anything you need, Fanboy Collectibles, check them out online or in their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. Okay. So was it last week? We talked about a couple of shows and movies, and Todd and I saw Tomorrow War. Todd and Barry saw Archive, right?
Right.
Is that how it
Yep,
worked?
you got
Yep.
it.
So now Barry saw Tomorrow War and I saw Archive. So now we're going to do an update on that. And there will be spoilers.
that's right.
Regular Joe's. Spoiler alert.
Well, I'm
Because
putting
we
insert
gave
in
you a
that.
week on both of these things. We kind of tap danced around the principal plot points. So we gave you a week, but it's, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to spoil them. Last week, in theory, except for one of us, it was spoiler-free. Well, not that. We're not going to review Handmaid's Tale.
Can we talk about Handmaid's
Tale?
Tale some more? I can give really in-depth plot summaries.
Please don't.
And this
Okay.
one got their hand cut. No, I'm kidding. No, nobody got anything cut.
So let's start with Tomorrow War, just because we're starting there.
Sure.
So Todd didn't love it. I thought it was great, and a good and fun. Barry, what
Yeah,
did you
Todd. Is it fair to say you were lukewarm on it? Is that maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I just, like I said, is for what it is, it was, if you just accept it as an action movie and just try to unplug your brain,
Hey, what's wrong with that? By the way,
well, okay, that works. It was just, like I said, there were just some major
I gave you
implausibilities.
the gun magazine thing.
Yeah.
totally-
So I watched it last night. I watched
Yep.
it with one of my kids. And I will say this, and I'm not a gun guy, so I don't look at it and notice what types of guns they are most off. If you hadn't have mentioned the reloading thing to me, it would have completely never picked up on it. But since you said it,
it was pretty bad.
it
but
was
okay.
all I could fucking think
That
about.
is
when I was watching
one of the
movie.
worst cases of that I have ever seen. So
All they needed to do was here. I'm Chris Pratt. Wow, these shoot a lot. Oh yeah, Caseless magazines, just hundreds of rounds. Done.
Or-
That's all
no,
you needed.
But they
What's
made
the
a
future?
point at one
during
point.
the non-briefing with the civilians, say, "Oh, don't worry about reloading because they just automatically reload or something."
Maybe
like
No, but
they had
they
that
even
in-
made a
it was
point
on
when
the-
they were walking through the street when they first got to Miami of the guy who had ultimately you found out had cancer. Sorry, spoiler. He reached down and was taking magazines out of the dead soldiers because he clearly felt like he needed more ammo. But you never saw anybody.
They never saw anybody reload. Never.
Now that aside, it did not deter my enjoyment of this movie. I will say it is derivative of everything I've ever seen that I've ever liked. It had Terminator elements, it had Armageddon elements, it had everything you can think of. I mean, Independence Day for sure. but it was fun.
Starship Troopers. It was
Starship
fun.
Troopers.
It was a lot
The
of
alien
fun.
design was
Don't
very
forget Suicide
different.
Squad. Don't forget Suicide Squad.
Sure.
Because it made about as much sense. Go ahead.
But the alien design was unique.
Very good.
I've not
Excellent.
seen an alien like that
yeah.
before.
Yep.
And you know, I realized it was made for theaters and then bought to put on Amazon, but they certainly didn't say cut any corners. That movie
No,
looked
they
fantastic.
spent a lot of money on
And
that.
you know the thing I will say about the aliens, and this is one thing I do give it credit for, and a lot of things with aliens, the aliens acted consistent through the whole thing. They never were super fast or super slow or conveniently slow. They were like, they moved at a consistent pace. They acted consistently. It seemed like, you know, they knew what they were up against, and they were up against that all the way through. Other than the Queen.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
They covered
And I see, you know why
every
I enjoyed
type of geography. They were in the Bahamas. They were in Cuba. They were in the ice. It was like they took every genre movie and swirled it up in a big mixing bowl, and they just used all of it.
And that's what I'm saying. If you can appreciate it in that level, and I'll be
haven't
honest with you,
been
I
a lot
watched
of
it a
fun
second
movies
time
recently.
to see if I was being excessively hard on it.
I think you are.
And I probably was. I think, though, again, my genre is time travel. Okay, that's what I love that. Okay, so when you don't explain it and you use it stupidly, okay,
Everyone, there's no explanation.
no, but I'm
for
saying,
it,
but
though.
there's no explanation. But it's like you go back in time and you grab civilians as cannon fodder.
no. Okay,
When-
wait,
no, no,
stop.
They did
no,
explain
no.
that.
They explained it. They
There's
explained it
500 no,
correctly.
there's
You had to be
500,000 people left in the world. Okay, that means 99% of the people in the world are dead. Okay, and you're going to slow the spread by going back and getting a couple dozen people at a time. Think about that.
No, but they said that not everybody was compatible, so that they had to.
Barry, again,
You had to be
I'm saying-
compatible
I'm saying
and dead.
Of all the plans you could come up with, if 99% of the population has been eradicated, the best plan you can get is to go back to a soccer match and recruit people a couple dozen at a time. The numbers don't even
Well,
come close
but
to
they
working.
also kind of. I mean, look, I'm not going to try to defend the science here, but they also said that they were running out of time, and they basically whipped this technology together with rubber bands and
I'll give you
paper
that.
clips, and said that this was all they could come up with, because if they had tried to do something better, they would have all been dead by the time they developed it.
And
They
I like
said
how
that
they
in the
said
it's like you say that, but it's what they did was pointless. It was a waste of time and resources.
no, because it
Well,
worked.
they actually.
They
Spoiler
got
alert!
Chris
They
Pratt.
defeated them at the
They
end, so
defeated
it wasn't
them
pointless.
through what they should have been focusing on. They
Oh
should
my
have been
God!
focusing.
You're trying to make sense out of a summer movie.
now
fun
go back
movie.
in time.
Popcorn action movie,
just
dude.
Go
You're
back in time
overthinking it.
and grab scientists. Just grab scientists.
They
Because there's not
couldn't.
many of them. No, wait a minute. There's not many of them left. Grab scientists, including this guy, okay, so they can find a way to stop these things. That could have made sense, okay, but like just grabbing random civilians to use as cannon fodder when, like I said, 99% of the population has already been eradicated by these things. It's just absurd.
I think you're looking at it wrong. They
agree.
needed people to try to keep these creatures at bay while they figured out the science. They had the scientists that they needed.
They just really needed to defend
They needed
the
people
place.
to defend that,
And they didn't
that
have anybody.
facility, and they needed cannon fodder to do that.
Yeah, to hold them back.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's what they were doing. They had the science and they were getting it. Now, here's the thing that threw me off. I'm watching the movie and I'm like, they're showing Chris Pratt with a wife. I'm like, why would they have Chris Pratt have a wife when we're hoping he's going to bang the blonde chick in the
Yvonne
future?
Strahovski.
You didn't get from second one that was his daughter?
No, I didn't get from second
No, I
one,
didn't
no.
either.
Christ.
Totally did not until they said her name, and he said, "Oh, I'm not a general." And then
I totally didn't get that.
yeah, I didn't either. I will say that my one criticism of it was that it felt a little too long.
Really?
It could have been 15 minutes shorter.
Okay.
And they had the thing at
When
the
he
end.
got
that
back
was
with the
great.
vial, I was like, "Oh, okay, they're gonna." So now I liked that they didn't, and that they had to. But then they go
Right,
find
'cause
the
that would've-
spaceship, which
again,
felt very alien.
That
and-
would have made too much sense. They have 40 years, 30 years, whatever, to deal with this. But instead, they take the only sample of this that they've got. on a unauthorized mission and go wake the things up, because that makes sense.
No, because the whole plan was to make a ton of it and bring it back and kill the guys until he realized, oh wait, they didn't show up, they're here.
But are dormant for another 20 some odd years. You have a 20-year head start on these things.
But the guy turned them down.
Right, and
Yeah,
if you would have
not for
gotten
20
world
years.
governments involved, it would have turned into a...
What do you have your magnifying glasses on watching this thing?
No, it's like, I'm just saying, as I said the other day, if it at every plot point in this, you sit down and you say, what's the wrong thing to do? It is exactly precisely what they do.
Okay, let me ask. Let's go back a couple of weeks to the top 100 movies. I believe your number 1 or 2 movie was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
Do you know Indiana Jones had nothing to do with the outcome of that movie?
Okay, don't go down
And
this.
now you're starting.
Okay,
but
he
let me
was
go in a
fighting
different
Nazis, okay? He was fighting Nazis in the present time and at that moment, preventing a
They wouldn't-
working
but he had
working-
no effect on that.
I'm not
Take
guaranteeing-
a
I'm not
deep
saying-
breath.
I'm not saying his outcome was, he affected the outcome, but I'm saying he was working against time, doing the best he could, versus someone who's got 20 years to think about the right course of action and instead takes conspiracy grandpa with him, okay, to go.
What did they call him? Something
Conspiracy
Santa?
Santa. I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
Conspiracy Santa.
Takes Conspiracy Santa so that J.K. Simmons can get another 30 minutes of screen time because he's already in every movie that there is, and wake the things up. I just don't get that. It's
Worked out in the end.
Dave,
Let's go to archive.
hang on,
No,
Dave. I want you to
okay.
do... Todd, stop.
the
Stop.
sequel
Oh
to
my
this
God.
thing will be because that thing fell over the cliff, okay, and the corpse had to go somewhere. So
It's splattered.
it
There's talk of a Tomorrow War II
there's going to be a
also.
Tomorrow War II because the thing got away. The
It
thing-
didn't.
get
It
away.
splattered against the rock.
Yeah,
Dave, just do me a favor and take your headset off for 10 seconds, or I'll wave you back in.
yeah.
What are you talking about,
But just- There were so many similarities to this and Project Hail Mary, if you really think about it. And you loved that, and you hated this.
Oh, Barry, no.
Okay,
no.
Dave, you can put your headphones back on. I just said something about Project Hail Mary that I didn't want you to hear since you haven't read it yet.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Should that be on the show, though?
No, there was no specifics.
I didn't spoil anything.
and he was
I didn't
completely
even want.
wrong about what he said. But
Okay.
You and I
Let's-
can debate
let's-
that privately.
we
but
can do that.
Let's wind Todd down a notch.
No, it's fine.
Totally.
Again, it's just you're not going to make it better than it is. Okay, it's just,
It was fun. It was a fun
absolutely
action movie.
No, I will concede that, and I'll say, like I said, I thought the aliens were great. I thought they could have done a much better job with the plot.
neither of us
Or-
are saying
or like-
it was high art, but it was fun.
It's
the most fun
it's-
movie I've seen in a long time.
up until that movie, it was the best movie I've seen in the pandemic at home. The most fun, anyway. I mean, anyway, okay.
Yeah.
In the same way that Armageddon was really fun when I saw that summer. I mean, and it holds up in a cheesy, fun way.
It does. I'm always sad that Bruce Willis dies. Sorry, spoiler. Okay. Now let's go.
Let's talk
from
about Archive.
what Todd perceives as a piece of shit to an actual piece of shit. No, I actually liked Archive. I enjoyed it. And I thought Barry spoiled it, but you didn't. You didn't. I'm like, oh god, this is
he
what's
didn't.
going to
He
happen.
didn't.
But you didn't spoil it.
I
Cut this
tried
around.
very hard not to spoil it, and I didn't think I said anything that did. But
No, because I thought that was the ending. Again, spoilers about the spoilers.
yes,
Barry said she commits suicide, and I thought the final android or whatever is going to commit suicide.
no,
But-
the other robot just walks into the water. And kills
no,
itself.
that was bad. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a little like what's going on sometimes, but in the end, it all makes sense.
I think this movie there was a little moon in there. There was a little, there was again a little
There was
Black-
a lot of
Black Mirror.
Yeah,
A
a lot
little
of Black
Ex
Mirror, a
Machina.
lot of Ex Machina.
but
A ton of Ex
But
Machina.
I liked that it was the robots that basically had the affinity for him, and he just wasn't even perceiving that. That he was so single-minded. I will also say, I don't know whether you spoilers or not, I did not see the end until just before it.
I saw the end about 10 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't
I'm saying,
see
like,
it.
There was
I'm like,
when okay, put it this way: when those guys weren't there, okay, because I thought up until then, I thought the robot was manipulating him. Okay, and that's where I thought this was going. And
but
I
when
thought
he
from
called
the point
place
that the
and
robot
the guys
was,
weren't
from
there,
the robot went live, I thought that robot was manipulating him. And
I don't know. There's a lot to sort of
and then I think
out,
that was
but-
Ex Machina that planted that in my head.
Right.
But at the point where the vehicles that he was seeing on screen approaching weren't actually there, that's when all of a sudden they said, we're really only seeing his perspective on this, and maybe it's not his perspective. And again,
I thought, okay, spoilers, blah blah blah. I thought they were both dead at one point. Just sort of talking to each other.
So can we talk for a minute, though? And I touched on this last week, but since we're really going deeper on spoilers now, I got really hung up on the fact that they said that this technology was analog. How? I mean, like...
I think it was analog so that it would expire.
Yeah,
was
and
the whole idea.
I think it was like analog storage, something like... I mean, again, we're also using these terms in our current sense, okay? They may look... They may...
Well, but analog is the... to me, at its simplest, it's not digital. How else could you have stored the essence of a person like that if it wasn't done digitally?
Well, on a magnetic something or other.
Yeah, I also felt like...
guess.
I think what they were talking about was like... I think they probably had no good way of saying it was finite and that it was basically going to play itself out versus...
And that it was sort of not
versus,
copyable.
So digital,
unless you're like
where it was digital,
a
they would be able
scientist.
to just keep enhancing it and keep extending it and whatever. Analog, what they meant, and I agree, Barry, that probably wasn't the best phrasing on it. It is, but I also think analog is now like synonymous with like the old way of doing it and not,
and it was probably just an easy way out, and
Yeah,
99.9% of people aren't going to get hung up on it the way I did, but
and it's
That's
funny.
okay. We
because
each have our own things we get hung up on. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
a
an
record
audio guy,
album
so
is
it's-
analog,
yeah.
but in theory, if kept, it could last forever if it's kept.
yeah, I mean,
Well, like-
tapes stored under the right conditions can last forever too, and they're analog.
I
So-
think it was more a matter of like he was like working his way through it, and when he got to the end of it, that was it. This was like you could access
think
all
it-
these conversations.
that's what
you could
they
have all
called
these
it, so it-
conversations once.
It was sort of not copyable without degradation,
That's
and
more,
also not
and,
finitely
and I think there was no.
yeah,
transferable.
And so that one word maybe helped convey that in a way that if they
Yeah,
didn't
I
say
would
that,
say
they
so.
might have had to explain
Right,
it
yeah.
more. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't hate it.
I
just didn't
enjoyed
love
it. I thought it was clever.
Again,
I
I
thought
felt
the
like
robot,
I'd seen it before, though, and
Yeah.
maybe I hadn't seen it
Well,
exactly presented
the
in
twist
that way.
at the end
but-
was kind of interesting.
I did
thought
like
it
the
was
twist.
good.
And honestly, if it had just been the robots and then she tries to kill him, or she kills herself or whatever, I probably felt differently about it. But the fact that this in this kind of Sixth Sense way was a very fed perspective thing, and they did a good job feeding you the perspective and making you both distracting him and distracting you at certain points. I thought it was effective.
And it's funny, there were a couple of things that were bothering me about some stuff that at the end didn't matter. One was that place looked way too modern for 30 years from now. Like, who would design a place like
virtually
that?
abandoned 30 years from now.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, this place is abandoned and it's only 30 years in the future. And so I get that he made it up. And the thing that bothered me the most is your wife died in a car accident.
And you restored
you
your
repaired
Lotus.
your car?
You restored the Lotus. Or he went out and bought... I got to say...
What kind of thing is that?
I didn't even catch that.
I was almost killed in a car, and I went out and bought basically the same car. It wasn't the same color.
You did?
Yeah. So...
But this is a horrible thing. Had someone close to you died in that car, would you have done the same thing?
I likely wouldn't have, but I'm alive today because of that car. So,
No, I could see
That's
that.
a different
but
way of looking at it.
That's
yeah.
a completely different.
however,
you have your collectible.
I don't know if either of you have ever been in a Lotus, like that.
Not that one.
Okay,
no.
that
I don't
one?
think you would have survived that crash.
I'm telling you, I could barely get out of that car. Okay. The reasons that, like in the Bond film where they use that car, where you see him like walk up to the door and start to get in, and then they cut to another shot, it's because you got to do gymnastics getting in and out of that car.
Yeah.
You're basically sitting on the ground. That's not a car that anyone would survive an accident in.
But I just like your wife is dead in the car accident. You don't fix the car.
Yeah, that was weird. That
And
was
it's not
odd.
like you just pick up another one 100 years after it was made or whatever.
and that's just it. It's like this is a 75-year-old car at this point. But
then at the end, okay, that was fine. I get it.
and then the weird kind of robot guy, the interesting thing where, robots were commonplace, but they weren't human-like. And again, I liked all that stuff. It's yeah. And again, I do pick stuff apart. So I
Oh, do you?
yeah, I and you know that. So, but I did.
enjoyed it.
I liked
I thought it
it.
was
I
good.
also, the other thing too is, I guess to me, this is a 2-year-old film that I had never heard of, never heard word one of, and I just read an article that said, "Oh, you should check this out, but don't read anything about it before you do," and I enjoyed it. And like I say, it was a nice surprise. It was a again, there's so much stuff and this is one of the problems too. Right now is it's almost impossible to see something without knowing something about it before you go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
And this is a little, I don't say a gem, but it's just a little thing that's, like I said, could be its own thing and not have any of that stuff attached to it. So, which is why I liked it, and I thought you guys might. So.
Okay, so we have 2 of 3 thumbs up for both of them.
Yeah.
Just different.
Yep.
Anyway, worth watching. Go check them out. Okay, now we're going to talk about Black Widow. So there's spoilers. If you haven't, still spoilers.
Regular Joe's. Spoiler alert.
Black Widow hit Disney Plus, last Wednesday? Last Thursday?
Friday.
Friday. Okay, so by
Friday,
the time this podcast
we're
comes
giving
out,
you a
it's
week head start here.
Yeah, we gave you a week head start.
Yes.
So before we talk about...
let me run.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I think we were going to say the same thing.
I was going to run some numbers.
Yes,
by
that's
you.
what I was going to do.
Oh, okay.
You do it.
So, interestingly enough, Disney, and they're making a big deal about this in the trades. They reported the streaming revenue along with the box office.
On
revenue.
demand, what they're calling it, streaming, in addition to the box office.
Which this is the way things are seen now. So it sort of is. It could change the whole model, but so it made $60 million on Disney Plus Premium. It cost $30 to watch it. $80 million in the domestic box office and just about $80 million in the international box office for $220 million, which, and then I did some research looking in, the top movie opening weekend is like Endgame, which was over $1 billion. International, worldwide.
Right. But
this would put this movie at number 11 of top opening weekend,
but
which says a lot.
When you think about it, though, the people that bought it on Disney Plus aren't going back to see it again. They've already paid for it. Now it's in their library. They own it.
True.
And a lot of the Endgame money and movies that make that kind of money do it because people go see them 2 and 3 times.
Yeah, I don't know so much with Endgame. Endgame made a ridiculous amount of money in its first weekend. So
this movie has not broken even. Let's just. I mean, the budget was reportedly over $200 million, and they spent probably another $100 million.
They're going to keep making money off it, though. So it's this. There's not.
I just don't know. I don't know what quantifies a success for this movie.
Well, who knows?
This
how
movie,
many people didn't see
if the
it?
pandemic never happened, this was a $400 or $500 million movie for sure.
Right, but we don't live.
But
in that
not
world
everyone
anymore.
with Disney Plus saw it the first weekend.
I saw it in a theater the night. I mean, on my birthday, the day before opening day, they had it in 4 theaters at the theater where I went to see it, where the multiplex where I went to see it. They had it in 4 theaters. There was at best 20% of the seats taken in the theater I was in.
That's a midnight show too, so that's
No, it was later. It wasn't midnight. So
it was later than midnight.
no,
than
I'm
midnight?
saying it was later in the evening, but not midnight.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
And-
thought you said
and,
it was after midnight.
No.
So how'd you stay awake?
It was. I was actually comfortable though. I mean, I was comfortable with the number of people in the theaters.
Yeah,
There was like a row buffer, and
Was any of that imposed by the theater, or was it
no,
just because they
no.
didn't sell tickets?
I could book any seat. I was 2 off from my preferred seat, and basically I would say all the places that sell first were sold, because this is the theater where I book. Whenever I book tickets, this is where I book, and the desirable ones were sold, but not a lot else. So I will say the 3D one had more seats booked. I don't understand that.
People, they still put this shit out in 3D. I didn't even know it's a thing anymore.
Yeah, I saw it even in the credits while I was scrolling, waiting to get to the post-credit scene. They had the whole 3D conversion credits.
Yep, yeah, no, it was like I said. So I'm glad I saw it on the big screen because my TV is less than a third, maybe a quarter the size of Dave's, and it's like I said. I also was glad that was the first film that I saw because I waited a year and a half for this film. So
I mean, it's
much
real.
more than
I feel like
really,
it's
but-
really the first real movie. I mean, I did like Tomorrow War, but everything else has been sort of a disappointment or nothing great.
Right, and Tomorrow War though wasn't something you've been anticipating for a year and a half.
No,
so.
no.
yeah.
Well, that's why, in terms of enjoyment factor, I mean, that was a surprise, fun thing. I mean, this was good. It was great, but it didn't blow me away. Todd texted me, and whatever you said was, I think, apropos. Can I read it?
Yeah.
She's 51, pretty much in the zone. No, that's not it. I was very happy with it. Nothing epic, just a character piece, but it fit well together. I agree with that. It was nothing epic.
But the thing is, it didn't need to be. Here was the thing. This was closure. Okay, that was the mission of this film. Okay, it was move the franchise forward ever so slightly and provide closure for this character that did not feel right with what we were where we were.
But
left.
with an origin story too, which was nice.
And it was
a nice
again,
mix
we
of
got dribs and
couple
grabs of
different
the
things.
origin in the past. I will also say that the origin in this was really unique to this. They've mucked with her origin numerous times since 1964, and this was the first time they went this exact route. It changed completely who Yelena Belova was, but this is better than anything they've done in the comics. Okay, in the comics, they Yelena Belova was basically trained to be her replacement.
That's the sister.
And sent to kill her as her final exam. Okay,
This was more tighter and
this
made
is
sense.
tighter and this worked
Yeah.
really well. The other thing is, I mean, everyone's been saying since they first announced this that she was going to be the replacement Black Widow, and I was really worried that they were going to do like they did in the comic, where basically they had a blonde that looked a whole lot like her and did all the same stuff and everything like that. And they're very different characters. And the connection there was very, very well established. But also the dissonance between them was very, very well established. It worked really well on that. I thought the whole, I think the balance of this, and again, this is a 24th film. This is like, this is what, again, I should maybe be more excited about this film. And don't get me wrong, I really, really like this film. I do. I've watched it again once since we saw it. But they're to the point now where they can make these things basically an auto-tune. They know how many funny things that need to go in there. They know how big explosions need to go in there.
You don't want to start feeling that way.
Okay. And, nobody else has done 24 films in this period of time like this before. This did not miss a beat, but there wasn't anything that, was just like earth-changing, but I don't think there was a place for it. You know,
Yeah.
it just
Hold that thought, Barry. What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I feel exactly the same way that as you've both described. I mean, it didn't blow me away where I was like, "Oh my god, that was like the greatest thing I've ever seen." But it did exactly what I expected it to do. It filled in some blanks, and it gave her an opportunity to finally have her own movie, which I think she earned based on all the movies
Yep.
she's
Yeah.
been in. It was funny. When I was going through Disney Plus, they had a Black Widow rail of all the movies in the
Yeah.
Marvel universe that she was in. And I, you start counting, you're like, holy crap, she's been in a bunch of these movies, and she's always been good, especially for somebody that doesn't have superpowers, right? She's just highly trained and really good at what she does, and she's got some cool tech. She holds her own against people with superpowers, and
she does. And
aliens,
this is,
and supervillains, and so she's. I've always liked the character, and I thought it was really good. I really liked the supporting cast. I thought the sister and the father were great. I actually like Rachel Weisz. I think she was maybe underutilized a little bit,
I agree with that.
and I
but
didn't
it was
really.
also where she came in and what they could do with her at that point. You know,
Yeah, I didn't
But her
really
character
get her
was a little
her
weird. It
flip
could have been
either.
a little-
like the all of a sudden they're working together thing didn't. I don't.
I agree with that,
and
too.
Maybe I'd have to go back and watch it again. I never saw that moment where I felt like.
She works for the Red Room, and all of a sudden, we need you to help us take him down. Okay, fine.
okay,
Yeah,
no,
like, really?
but think about
And,
this.
and they needed to keep that
Right.
quiet in
Right.
order for the face swap thing to work.
She's doing this research with pigs, all this kind of stuff, turning it over to them. They're telling her what they're doing with it or not telling her, and she's just been told it was used on one of her foster daughters. Okay?
They could have made a bigger point to that because I
They
didn't
could
really.
have. But again, these people are Russians. They don't show their emotions. The same
Yeah,
way.
but you did think she. At one point, they didn't do that, so you'd think she
Exactly,
sort of.
and that's the other thing too. Remember, these people are all spies. Okay, so I think that they don't play they play the cards very close to the vest. You know, I didn't have a problem with it. I like the misdirection. I think this was very much some people categorize it like an espionage film. It's more like a Jason Bourne film.
It's a James Bond movie. I mean,
Kind of, but
yeah.
it's like, but there was no big baddie overarching immediate threat thing. It was,
well, there was Blofeld. I mean, it was
but I'm
literally
saying,
let's take down Blofeld.
but it wasn't like the laser wasn't pointed at the UN or something like this. There was, they had a threat they had to deal with, but it wasn't like
well,
it has
but he
to happen
did.
this
He
moment.
did lay out that he was finally in a position now that he had an Avenger.
Again,
he was able
that's-
to execute his plan.
And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But there wasn't like, oh, we have to go there and stop him because of this. No, this was
stopping him
this
because
was
we have
checking
to.
off the box that she left unchecked. So, but again, I think I think of it like a Bourne film in that like it's like a, you figure out what you got to do. It's like an espionage kind of questy thing, and again, I like the characters. I think they did a really good job with it. I thought the foster sister was great. I really liked that she's a very different character.
Yeah, she was. I did like that. I feel like the dad was. I felt like he was just there for the laughs.
Oh yeah,
You
I mean
know?
it was
It was a
definitely there to
little
lighten it up.
much.
And
But I thought it was well done. Like I didn't feel like, oh my god, at any point, like rolling my eyes. I enjoyed it.
But it was like, is he going to do anything sort of like that's not just the?
I really liked how the
comedy?
sister was kind of ripping on Natasha for
Oh my god, that was
for
funny.
the, for the whole action pose thing.
the
and I was
poser
like,
thing was brilliant.
Yeah.
Until you're a total poser.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The thing that I was after it was over, I'm thinking about it, and I'm comparing it to other movies. You compare it to like Captain Marvel, and it was almost when you look at this compared to Captain Marvel, it was almost a little formulaic. Where Captain Marvel had some stuff that I'm like, oh, that's different. That's a little cool. Not that I'm saying it was bad, but especially. And maybe this movie will be the same way. Captain Marvel gets better every time you see it, I think. But it did have something that made it a little different. I don't feel like this had anything that made it like super different.
Yeah, but they've also never made a film starting with a character who's already deceased, which we know from other
I'll give you
universes
that.
is very, very hard. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't have to go there. And sometimes pointless. So they told a story that I thought was good to know. They set up another character to have legs within this universe. I don't need to see the other two again, but it made, like I said, I think it worked on every level that it needed to. I don't think it was a risk in any way, shape, or form, but I also feel like it didn't get stale in a year and a half. I think this film worked just as much now as it would have a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I would think so.
That's
It's
fair.
interesting, the whole widows. Did we ever really hear that there's a whole bunch of widows?
Well, we saw like glimpses in the past in her training,
but we
in a
never
room full of other
called them
girls.
widows.
I don't think
or
we
anything.
realized how many there were.
Right, and again, but we saw her training in a room full of others.
Oh, I knew all that, but I didn't know. That someone called
I-
them.
It's
I
one thing
actually
to see
think
20 of them in a room. It's another thing to see that whole board where you realize that there's hundreds
Yeah,
of them.
and that
all
was
over.
and they all wear that same.
and
black
that was the
outfit.
thing, Barry. Where like said, I don't think she went in there to stop that. I think she learned that when she got in there.
Yeah.
I think she knew there was a dozen or 2 dozen or whatever like that. She didn't realize there were all these ones out there, but I also think that the whole widows thing was after the fact, and I think that was meant to be a dig at her. So I think they were basically applying her name to this, and stealing, using her reputation.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
So
yeah.
I think that's been done a few times in the comics.
The one thing I would slightly nitpick about, and it has nothing to do really with my enjoyment of the movie, but the fact that the Red Room was, and again, spoiler alert, was a floating thing. If it had been underground or in a mountain or underwater, but how do they not know? How is it not ever found when it's? I mean, we have so much going on between radar and all of this detection from the air and all. Like, how would they keep that hidden?
I see.
It was
I
huge.
like that because to me it was like it was the equivalent of the Shield helicarrier, but the Russian equivalent of Shield helicarrier, and
it was
looked
detectable though.
Right.
What's that?
How was it not detected? I mean, I guess it had stealth.
I guess. I mean, I was trying to think of it like the
sitting
Lost
in the
Island,
clouds,
where
it's sitting in the clouds. It's got stealth things. It's
The funny thing was the decor was all 70s.
I love
Russia.
that. I
That was
love
funny.
that. It just it looked like I thought that was great.
Yeah, my son, who I watched it with Joey, and he couldn't get past the floating city. He's like, that's the dumbest thing. He really had a hard time with that piece of it.
I liked it because
They have stealth technology.
See,
It
my
felt like
thing
to me
was
like a Bond villain's, it's a Bond villain's, lair.
Right, but my thing with that was like, the Russians looked at the helicarrier and said, "Oh, we can totally do this," and this is what it would have looked like. It was this big, ugly spindle thing. It wasn't elegant and sleek looking like the helicarriers. So
Todd's going to justify everything in this movie that we have a problem with.
very
'cause
likely, yes.
That's what he does.
Anyways, I actually like that. It gave him something to fall from for 3 or 4 minutes. Taskmaster, I thought was good. Taskmaster has never been a character in the comics I've been all excited about. I like the twist of having it be, his daughter reprogrammed.
She didn't do much though.
No, she didn't do
And
much,
the
but
name Taskmaster to me doesn't correlate back to the character or what the character does.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
It's like,
but then because it
character
was
is
an
a
existing,
copycat.
it's an existing character.
No, I know, but they didn't have. It didn't have to be. It could have been. They could have called her anything.
That was a waste of that girl. She does decent movies, and
Well, in any case, it was like I said, it was. I think it's a lame character that they gave some interesting dimension to, and they made it. Basically in the comics, it's somebody who has like an eidetic memory for moves. Okay, and everybody he's ever fought, he remembers all their techniques. They've done this many times, but it's.
Taskmaster sounds like an Austin Powers villain to me. Like
that's
it
what I
doesn't.
said. Random task.
Yeah, it doesn't sound
well.
like.
Again, it's a
Marvel
'60s thing.
villain
Okay, it's
name.
like they got to work with what they've got.
But they don't. That's the thing. They could have made up a new character for that. It didn't have to be a character.
They don't. But
they changed it from a man to a woman. They could have changed
If
it.
Taskmaster was in the Tomorrow War, he'd be ripping it to shreds.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You know that.
Anyways, rather than make up something, they worked with what they had. Again, same thing with Red Guardian. Okay, Red Guardian, originally Black Widow's husband, and here it was her foster father. I like the Americans twist in the beginning. I got to say,
No, that was good.
That was very American. Yeah.
and
And I love how that played in later for the fact that, the youngest daughter had no idea that it was fake. And that was great. And
that is the
ruined
thing
her whole
in this
life.
person's life that's basically misery, okay, and a lot of manipulation. That is the touchstone that she's clinging to. And all these people around her who she's got woven into her own thing are not validating it. And I thought that was good. I thought it was very heartfelt and real. There's again, I do like this film a lot. There's a lot of things that I don't think it took any significant risks. I don't think there was anything earth-shattering in it, but I think it was satisfying in every way it needed to be, and it did exactly what it needed to do.
So the post-credit scene, that was supposed to be seen before Falcon and Winter Soldier ever aired.
Yes.
I think, and so that was supposed to be Julia Louis-Dreyfus's first on-screen appearance in Marvel. I didn't feel like it didn't work. Now seeing it after the fact,
and it was also filmed. This was also filmed in I guess like a year after they finished filming in October of 2019 for this film, and this was filmed like in the summer of 2020, the follow up. So, they by that point they knew they were making a Hawkeye series, and they knew they were going to use her in the Hawkeye series.
It's funny, having seen it in the Winter Soldier, which we didn't all think was the greatest. It almost sort of cheapened this character. I don't. This character seems low rent to me.
I think.
For some reason.
Think about it this way: sketchy Nick Fury. Okay,
I get what it is, but it seems like I didn't get the. She's a goofball. She's a little bit of a goofball, and she came out of
always came across as a
TV
total
series.
badass. I'm not sure that this character, unless we're going to see something new, when we actually see her, like in these little snippets, maybe it's
I don't
not
know why they're
justice,
making her like this goofy with the blowing nose and
I agree.
Like
it's also not that character. I mean, this needs to be like
the character is supposed to be like a badass and was dating
and
Nick
like
Fury
a femme
and fighting
fatale.
with Nick Fury.
I mean, and it's like a master spy and all this kind of stuff.
Had we seen her first in this, she may have been better. But the fact that we saw her in some sort of not great TV series, I don't know. I mean, I wish they had made it the female Nick Fury. That's all you needed to do. You really had a good formula there. Why not make her a little more
it's
of a
nothing
badass?
to do with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I like her in everything she's in.
Great.
But I don't see how she fits here. Maybe
the writing for this character is not great.
It's a reinterpretation of this character. We don't really know who she's working for. My thought after this was, is she working for Thunderbolt Ross? Is she like the morally sketchy, arm of his department where she's the one that does the Black Ops stuff?
That could be. But I don't like the goofiness of this character, and the fact that our first thing of her is like the person she's got on board is like the third-rate Captain America, and now you're bringing on
Captain America,
Black Widow's sister. It sort of
right.
denigrates her prospects.
Who we saw in action with no training, having used this, with the super soldier serum. I think he could come back and be formidable. But we'll see.
But what we've seen of him, he couldn't even cut it. He's a crappy character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they could have handled this better. I don't know. So obviously ties into the Hawkeye series, which is now they're talking it's supposed to be out this year.
Yes. Yeah.
Fall.
Yep. So that would be.
But
the
like
next,
this girl's just
going
to believe like he's the bad guy. Like I don't know about that. She knows who he is.
You would think that Natalie would have talked about her enough,
right?
That she wouldn't think he's a bad guy. But
she doesn't know what happened in between when she last saw Black Widow and this. Okay?
But she knows who Hawkeye is. Wouldn't you? You're like, what your sister in quotes was doing. So she considered the Avengers family.
Everything that you can about Hawkeye between the end of Infinity War and Endgame and tell me whether Hawkeye, in the beginning of Endgame, tell me whether Hawkeye's a good guy or bad guy.
But my guess is she doesn't know any of that stuff. She knows the
But I'm
Hawkeye
saying
from
she goes
New
after
York.
him. This is what she finds.
No, that's fair. From that and where we were in the timeline, if she were to start really investigating him, he's often in
off doing.
killing them.
He's in his
Yeah.
Ronin period. And he's doing sketchy shit, and that's why I'm saying she's being manipulated. But I think there's things that will play into that. So she's got to. So the other thing too is the oldest superhero trope in the book is you throw two heroes together and first they have to fight before they team up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't love the Valentina character. I think they could have done a better job with her.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. So
I mean, it's
I like the vest
We'll see.
thing. I like the like
The
she's
first thing, it felt forced. Like she never said. I wish she in the car said, "Oh, that is a cool vest." I
no,
like
she
all
was
those
humoring
pockets."
her. She was telling her how great it was. She was Do you remember what she said about the vest? It was the first article of clothing she'd
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
picked
yeah.
out for herself.
Yep.
Okay. And then and again, this is the little sister trying to please the older sister, and it's like take the vest, and then but also she's wearing that through the next film.
I know, it's funny. It was on TV, and I'm like, oh, let me go to the scene where they show up in the train station. She totally made it
Yeah, she
skin
changed
tight,
it.
Oh,
like
of course,
everything she wears.
She had
Yeah.
it refitted. She probably added more pockets too, but because it's very practical. But yeah, again, I have that figure, so I thought that was great. But it's again, it was a clever bit.
Good movie. I mean, bottom line, good movie.
Yeah.
Not a disappointment. They didn't drop the ball, but not earth shattering either. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do. I think.
I mean, it sort of was like one of the smaller, character movies, which is fine.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, all good. It wasn't.
You just built the list that I would group this all right in with.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every single one of those movies gets a little bit better. Except
That-
Doctor Strange gets a little bit better each time I watch them. So I gotta say,
agree with you. Yeah,
I
Doctor
love
Strange is
I love
tough to
Ant-Man
watch.
much more now than I ever did when I first saw it.
You could always watch Ant-Man and Captain
I
Marvel.
was half
Watching
of it
Doctor
on pay
Strange
TV
just before I
yesterday.
came down here. It was on TV.
They're
Yeah.
all on right now.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Like I was going through the dials: Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Civil War, Endgame, all on.
When
at
you
the
said
same time.
before, Todd, that
I
you
never
know-
channel surf into Doctor Strange.
It was
I
on
gotta
say that.
literally on
Tonight.
tonight.
Yeah,
You made
see,
the comment before though that this is the 24th movie in how many years? It's 12 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah, I mean when you think about look at the Bond franchise. They've made 26 movies in over 50 years. Like
Yeah,
it's just
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
really
This is
kind of
absolutely
mind-boggling how
unprecedented
much
in the fact that
they've done.
But they've also got a formula. Again, they know how much humor, they know how much drama, they know how many big explosions, all that kind of stuff. I got to say, the fighting in here was really good. It's what we expect, but like in Prague, the fight inside that apartment was just
Yeah, that
brutal.
was good.
The
Her signature move didn't work a few times here, which was nice when she jumps up behind
Yeah,
the neck. And
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
nice to see
I like
that
that.
was a couple times where that just fell flat.
and the boy that fall into the alley. Where she
you
bounced
felt
off all
that,
those
yeah.
things.
Yeah, you
It's
felt
like,
that.
I was talking to somebody about that today, and I was saying I've gotten to the point where I kind of apply like video game character durability to people in like the Marvel movies because like Hawkeye, Falcon should be dead by now. Okay.
oh for sure.
Okay.
Even Tony
And it's
Stark,
Like,
I mean,
Hawkeye got shot full on with a repulsor at close range. Okay. It's like got knocked back 50 feet. Okay, and didn't. I had a black eye. It's like I said. It's like people in a video game where they're that much more durable and they get up and keep going and stuff. But that was
I was watching Iron Man 3 yesterday because that was on also, and I was watching the suit up scene, the Christmas time
Yep.
with those pieces flying at him that fast, and when he gets knocked on his ass, that should have killed him. Realistically, that should have killed him.
It should. There's a lot. Yeah. And yes, but again, it is what it is.
stuff.
But it also, I will say too, one of the things that they do well in this is like weaving stuff together where they don't nothing comes out of nowhere. I mean, you went to Prague because we'd heard about Prague and you heard about these little things.
Budapest, not Prague.
I'm sorry, Budapest.
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 Budapest. Pest.
I don't know which it is for real.
But you heard about these things. It was the I love that she's still got a gun tucked up inside that vent. From years before.
Yeah.
Because she would. Everywhere she's been, there's a couple guns left.
Well, let's face it. You made the comparison without really making it before, and I don't want to go too deep there, but this was a much better executed version of what they tried to do with the Solo movie, right? They had just killed him off in a major motion picture. 2 years later, they put out a movie with his origin story, and it fell flat for a lot of reasons. I still like that movie, but this pulled that idea off much better execution than they got with the Solo movie.
Yeah.
And there's something that they're trying to go forward with too, with this.
Right.
I would say the last point is, I have been resistant to their making a new Black Widow, a replacement Black Widow, which I thought from the point that they introduced the sister, I thought, 2 years ago when they cast her, 3 years ago, I thought, okay, clearly this is what they're going to do. I don't have a problem with that. I think she's a different enough character that it's not just like, okay, we've dropped the substitution in place. I think she's going to be more impulsive. I think she fights differently. I think it could be very, very interesting.
They also don't have to call her Black Widow.
No, they don't.
No.
So
be better, in my opinion, probably better if they don't.
Right. So,
although they're calling Captain America, which
Yeah.
I don't know. He should still be the Falcon. You have a shield. What's the big deal?
Falcon America.
I don't get that.
So
Falcon America.
yeah, I again, if she's the widow or whatever, they do that to honor her, whatever. I don't have a problem with that. But she's, again, it's not putting somebody else in the suit and just saying, okay, yeah, we'll
they
keep
don't even
going.
need to give her a name.
They've earned it.
Unless they're going to put a new Avengers together at some point and put her in it. If she's just going after Cliff
that's where
and
it's
then
gonna-
fighting
that's
Cliff,
where it's
she
gonna
doesn't
go.
need a character name.
because that's where it will go, and I think you're gonna ultimately see her like clip on the belt with a little widow symbol, and think about how long they use Scarlet Witch without ever actually calling her Scarlet Witch. It's the only reason that you need a name is for action figure packaging.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. But in theory, she wore that outfit anyway, right? I mean, she did. That was the outfit that all those other widows were wearing.
That's what I'm saying.
But she also had the white version.
That's the thing.
So she could be the White Widow.
They didn't call them widows because of her. They all had the belt with the little thing on it.
Well, and they had the stingers and stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
actually think, like I said, it's
Well, here's a question. Did they ever refer to her as Black Widow in any of these movies? Or is that the action figure packaging name? I'm trying to think, and it's too many movies to remember off the top of my head, but they never referred. They referred to her as Nat, and they referred to her
I don't necessarily
as
know that they
Natasha, but do they ever actually
Yeah.
call her Black Widow?
do. Yeah.
Probably
I
not.
don't know. That's a good question. I wonder how Shang-Chi ties in.
Oh, wait a
is
minute. Didn't they refer to her as the Black Widow in the news footage that they were running at the beginning?
Oh,
Maybe.
probably.
Avenger Black Widow? I think they did. Yeah, I'll have to go back and re-see that.
Is Julie Louis-Dreyfus showing up at the end of Shang-Chi?
Oh, God.
Probably. How else do you tie it up? Anyway, let's think about that. Okay, go see it or rent it for $30. Get to keep it. Whatever you're comfortable with at this point.
Okay,
It's
so
all good.
I got one more question for you. What are they going to do for Hot Toys figures in this movie?
Did they renounce the white one already?
They did already. Yeah.
Yeah, they've already announced the white one, the black suit, right? They've done both of them.
No, just the white one and the
I think
Taskmaster.
the white. They'll do all of them.
The white one and the Taskmaster.
Taskmaster's a waste.
I think put it this way: when they say when the Hot Toys figure says winter version, okay, I think you pretty much guarantee that there's going to be a regular
Yeah,
version.
they'll probably
The
do
sister's not in a great outfit in anything really.
She's
so what do you
not.
put her in?
They could put her in the white suit too. Didn't she wear the white suit also?
It's a
so
different
funny.
white
That's
suit.
not
It's
the same
more of a
suit.
snowsuit.
yeah.
And it's not like a tight kind of action superhero suit.
I still think they'll do it, but yeah. So
They'll probably do all 4 main characters, I would imagine, and
I
Taskmaster.
don't know. Do you do that? You need at least Red Scarlet or whatever the hell his name
Red
is.
Guardian.
Red Guardian.
They'll do
is
Red
interesting.
Guardian, yeah.
The mom is sort of
yeah,
Black
it's just,
Widow
well,
with
it's,
different
it's
head.
making different head and putting it on
It's
that
just,
body.
yeah, as you can say, it's just that's an easy.
Okay, now
figure.
that would be cool to make have the Black Widow come with 2 heads. That would be cool. So, or interchangeable faces or something like that. So,
Oh, that could be interesting. And 2 pigs.
yeah, and 2 pigs. The dead version and then the living version. Yeah.
I don't think there's really any other characters to do it. There's not like an extensive cast
There really
of
isn't.
characters here.
It really is. Hey, so the random other guy, the assistant guy thing, the guy that showed up and supplied the stuff
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
from your show.
27 Dresses?
No, God, what the Handmaid's Tale. He was in Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah, you're right. He was.
Yeah, I like that we'd never seen him before, and that we'll probably never see him again.
Let me ask you a question, though.
Yep.
When she got to her trailer, did you for a second think Captain America may be in there?
Oh, I thought somebody we knew was in there, and that was the thing. I had to get over
there
that.
was sort of this hinting of Captain America.
I had to get over that, like
That would have been cool.
that disappointment that it wasn't somebody we knew. But then I thought, you know what? She's a spy. We shouldn't know everybody she knows. You know, this is the quintessential I know a guy, okay, who can get her pretty much anything. It made perfect sense.
Well, and Kevin Feige actually came out yesterday or the day before and said that he purposely did not want any major cameos from the MCU in this
you know
thing.
what? And I think
She didn't need them. That was his
that's
quote.
good, and that's
she
just
doesn't need
it.
the guys.
Right. She didn't. And I agree 100% with that decision. So, you know.
Cool. Okay, go check it out. Let's do a quick what's in the box. Since it's late.
Show you in the box. Who's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Todd, what's in the box?
This is quick. It is. This is a. Oh, I just knocked the thing off it. This is a Marvel Legends Scarlet Witch figure. So it's the first like realistic thing of her in the new outfit.
Oh.
Not my. You know, they made pops and stuff like that, but there'll be more stuff coming soon. Looks pretty good. It's not my favorite Marvel Legends Scarlet Witch figure. This one's better, but I like it. I have like a fishing wire loop. I always have a hanging figure from the ceiling of my office, and this has been the one. She looks kind of cool, kind of like doing her hovering over
Levitating, yeah.
Yeah, levitating thing, and they did a good job with it. And I'm really looking forward to Hot Toys figure late next year sometime. So, but that's my thing.
Yeah, it was late next year.
Yeah,
right?
it will be. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Barry, what do you got?
I've got something that our friend Brian picked up for me at Disney. Back when he got me the lightsabers, he also, what was funny was I knew he was going to Disney that weekend, and I asked him specifically to look for something for me, not the lightsabers. And he found it, and then he also found the lightsabers. But this was done for Pride Month at Disney.
Oh, yeah,
It's
you
a
mentioned that.
rainbow R2D2, and it's actually called R2RN8W, or so rainbow. It's kind of funky, and I actually between him buying it for me and then shipping, it ended up costing a little bit of money, and I'm kind of like, oh, did I really want it? And then I got the acrylic case to put it in, and now this figure apparently was very limited run and is now selling for $130 to $200 on eBay. So I'm glad I put it in an acrylic case now.
That's great. That's great.
Should have
So
it
it's
graded.
cool. Yeah, I know. I probably should. But yeah, so Brian picked that up for me a little while ago and shipped it off, and I hadn't had a chance to show it to you guys, so that came in a box.
Cool.
Dave, what do you got?
I was looking for other stuff on Amazon, and I just came across this, and it was cheap enough that I bought it. I've always thought this kind of thing was cool, but this is a mosquito in.
Oh my God! I ordered that yesterday.
Did you really?
funny.
Yes,
Is
I
it
ordered
new to
that
the
yesterday.
website? 'Cause
I want
I
to
haven't
get
seen
the
it.
cane. I want to reproduce the cane.
But
When did that come out? Did we just?
I
see?
had no idea. I was just scrolling through.
Is it
Indiana
branded
Jones
Jurassic
stuff.
Park or is it not?
It is.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's got the
Jurassic
Jurassic Park
World.
logo on the underside of it. It's a paperweight.
Oh my God, I need one of those right now.
Dave, I pulled the trigger on that yesterday. It's been on my cart for a week.
Oh really?
That is
Yes,
so funny. So, have you thought about making the cane thing?
I have not, but
So let's see the size. Is it the right size?
here's the thing. You really can't see it here. It's the right size, but the problem is, not to ruin it for you, it has no. It's like a transfer. It's like a little.
Oh,
It's
it's
got
a
no
piece of
depth.
paper. It's no
It's
depth to it.
It's a picture.
So you really got to kind of okay. So
You
that's
can only
one of
look
the
at it
things.
from one angle.
You hold it to the light the right way, and it looks great. It's just like a transparency. That was the word I was looking for.
Oh, that's too bad.
For $27.
Yeah,
I'm
no, that's
guessing.
great. That's again, I'll have mine tomorrow.
It's $28.99 right now on Amazon.
Oh, I paid $27.99.
Yep.
I would have
It says
thought
it's
this would
made
have
by
been out.
Toy NK.
Yeah.
They're not the ones who made it, though.
No, they're the ones selling
It's got
it.
a Universal logo on it, and it's got
It's got an actual Jurassic Park thing on the underside, right?
yes.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
actually,
was
the
looking
pic-
at
the
that. And
picture
I
on
thought
Amazon,
I
it
thought
looks
if
far
the
more
size was
pronounced.
right, I would try to reproduce his cane because I think that would be cool.
I gotta say, for the money, the clarity and the smoothness and this size is really nice. I mean, unfortunately, it's got a
Yeah, and again,
transparency
in
it,
my
but-
prop display case, that I could put that in. You'd never know.
Well, the problem is the cane is, I think, a vertebrae,
Yeah,
and that's not easy to make unless you want to 3D print it.
I always
you
think it would
can't.
have to be. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I would have thought it would have come up if it. So it must be relatively new. I don't see a year on. I can't read. It's too small.
Yeah, it's odd that you both stumbled upon it around the same time.
it's
I
got
had
to
never
just
seen
it's
it.
got to
It's
just come out.
Paperweight.
Yeah, it's got to just come out because again, I spotted that like maybe a week and a half ago, and yeah,
Cool.
I picked up a raptor claw, and I gave that away to somebody, and so I found a raptor. I ordered that and the raptor claw at the same time,
Oh,
and yeah, so
cool.
All right.
Okay, that was quite a show.
Yeah.
We've been going for a while. Probably Loki next week, I'm guessing.
I think
would
it's
think
Loki,
so.
and
Yeah, the finale's tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Or as we record. Wednesday, as we
Yeah,
record
it's this week.
Yeah. So there'll be spoilers there too if you haven't seen it. Now you got a week to watch it.
It's only 6 episodes, so catch up.
It's only 6 episodes. And that's it. Any last thoughts? I want to know why I'm asking.
Not this week. Todd?
no,
Looks like you looked like you had one and you weren't sure.
no. I was just thinking that's why I slip them into random because
Because we get that evil
we get that
parenting
like,
eye,
oh, you're
that
gonna
side
do it,
eye.
aren't you? It's like
You're not going to
okay.
really extend the show anymore, are you?
Yep. So,
Yeah. Anyway. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.